All right, and welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's now, we all have cups of tea. You have yours?
Yes,
Wakili, you're now good, right?
Yes, thank you.
Very good.
Thank you very kindly.
If you're just, Oscar, you're getting yours. Don't worry.
No, I'll get
Okay.
I'll get it.
All right, Bedard Kitur, Member of Parliament, Nad Hills joining us, Shadow Komboi, Advocate of the High Court, also one of the lawyers presenting the petitioners, and Oscar Mondi, who is a university don. Okay, so, Wakili,
yes.
Continue.
Yes, I was saying something. You know, an assertion was made by my colleague here, the university don, Mr. Oscar, that now, because of the verdict that we received yesterday, the former deputy president does not stand a chance of presenting himself as a candidate in the forthcoming general election. Now, what is true, at least legally speaking, is this, that until and unless he has exhausted all avenues of appeal and review on the decision that was made by the High Court yesterday, he still stands a chance of seeking for any elective position.
Even before getting the Court of Appeal decision?
Exactly.
And you know how laborious court processes can be.
Exactly.
We are only 15 months away to the ballot.
The person that has the final say of whether the decision made by senators and the National Assembly collectively was proper in the eyes of the law is the Supreme Court.
Okay.
So unless the Supreme Court makes a determination on this question, then the door still is open for whoever has been impeached.
Whatever Wakili is talking about is not meant for this forum. It is meant for Gachagua's house when they sit there and convince him that you can still go to the ballot and they can give them a paycheck because of that reasoning. That reasoning
is the law. Is the law. It's
the
not
law
politics.
says that so long as you've been impeached, even as a CEC at the county government, so long as you've been impeached, you are not allowed to be a state officer for a period of 10 years.
That is the same case as Mike Sonko?
He was impeached.
No, you see, Mike Sonko's issue is different. Mike Sonko, the decision as to whether he was properly impeached by the Senate was affirmed, or rather a verdict was returned by the Supreme Court. Remember, it was a month or so before the 2022 general election. And the Supreme Court held that he was properly impeached. So his case is closed. He's now someone who is suffering life imprisonment, in the eyes of the public, especially when it comes to the elective offices.
Yes.
So Mike Mbuvi Sonko, His Excellency, he cannot be elected for any position. He cannot even be employed as a sweeper in any government organization or body. However, the case is not the same with Rigathi Gachagua, because Rigathi Gachagua's issue has not been determined by the apex court within the Republic of Kenya. So I will just make reference to Article 193.3 of the Constitution, so that this is not just political. I told him that in as much as it's a political process, it is also a constitutional process.
Okay. The question is, so according to you, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua can still contest for an office, an elective position?
It's not according to me. It's according to the Constitution.
All right.
You know, so mine is to voice what is written in the Constitution.
Can you read this
There's an open window for him to vie.
Yes.
Can you read this one so that we are at par?
Just a letter.
193.3.
Just look it.
As you do that, Mheshimiwa, perhaps this one is setting a very serious precedence, because now the National Assembly has an upper hand and you are the final.
Correct.
The Senate will only have to go through, do a sweeping effect.
Correct.
And check what the National Assembly did.
Yes.
Don't you think you are setting a very serious precedent even for the future candidates? That it can be politically instigated, and then now it goes to the National Assembly, when you go to the Senate, and you're out.
In my view, not quite. I think we are just exercising our duty. And I did say it earlier. This is calling on every leader in whatever position you've been given to serve in our country to only act within the law and have some reasonability in how you handle the issues. That probably brings in now where there's an aspect where there are ethics and levels of how you need to operate.
Yes.
You don't get into any seat that you've been given and you go over your head, believing that you have power and you can misbehave the way you want. I was keenly trying to check on that Article 193 of the Constitution as Wakili was trying to defend his client. And I want to tell him that we will not continue to get the National Assembly being demeaned when they exercise their duty. They did their work. The courts have affirmed that we did our work as such. In that ruling yesterday, and of course, as it were, they want to try and do that in the court. They want to go to the Court of Appeal I think clearly it is firm and sealed that Rigathi Gachagua was impeached. And therefore, I do not see any iota or a window in whatever manner that Gachagua will want to try and vie for any political seat in our country. But I leave them to the political jargons, I mean to the, the court jargons they will want to try and follow and the legalistic nature. And I was trying to read this article 193, which Wakil is trying to put across. But that not belabored, I think Parliament has set the bar too high, just as also the county assemblies of those that have been able to present governors who did whatever was not right, and they were impeached. And I think going into the future, I see a brighter Kenya, a better country in terms of governance. I repeat again, the power now still rests with the people because, as it were, we are in Parliament representing the people who sent us. So anybody, the power of the people will always stand high, and as put forward by them.
I think the court said that the representation, the power of the people was represented by the National Assembly. Right?
Yes, of course. They
as a part of public participation.
Yes, they exercise direct sovereign power.
Right.
In fact, you see, unlike some members of the executive, these ones are direct speakers of what is in the heart of the people. The problem always has been that, like where I come from, the MP has not been speaking on our behalf. He's been speaking on his behalf of his stomach. So you cannot say he is representing us, really.
I don't know if in our country's history, the courts have... the courts that we have today, have we had an impeachment case? Because we've had several, where the courts have overturned an impeachment process or an impeachment after the Senate has impeached. Do you have that evidence anywhere? Where the courts come and overstep parliamentary work and overturn an impeachment that is complete from start to finish. No case in this. This might be the first case in history where the court oversteps. Currently, Ramaphosa of South Africa is going through the same process of an impeachment process. Pala.
Yeah.
And in the Pala case, the courts find him that he did illegal stuff. But the courts have no right to impeach him. The courts have sent the case back to Parliament that create an impeachment committee within Parliament. It's only Parliament that has the responsibility to impeach or not. It is not the work of the courts to impeach parliamentarians. The same legal team that you see around Gachagua sent Mwangaza home because of lying to her. The same guys. And you see, there are these lawyers who want to do small things for Twitter, that this is judicial nonsense, because you'll be trending on Twitter anyway because of that, saying that silly things in front of the courts. But the same guys lied to Mwangaza and made Mwangaza get impeached. Victor, you're not a politician. The worst thing that should happen to you as a politician is get impeached. Because you will go forever.
Yeah.
Never to be seen again.
Okay.
So I think Gachagua's fate is done and dusted. With age and whatever is going to tell, even Central Kenya, the Mrima that is under his DCP and what have you, he has a story, yes, he can have this narrative of the appeal case and the appeal court and the Supreme Court for the sake of the elections.
Okay. So now what happens? That's my next question. What next? Because now it's going to get political. Probably you're waiting to hear a press briefing today, tomorrow, whichever day. Yeah. But now what next? Mheshimiwa, are you ready for what next?
United opposition is seriously dented. Clearly, there is no hope, there is no future for them because they are banking on...
Just by this...
Yeah. I mean, it was one of the things they were really trying to hang on, and all of us knew it was a weak sand.
Do you know how you do this game?
It was a quick sand.
You can twist it.
It was a quick sand they were standing on. We still remain extremely strong on the broad-based government. And the other day also I heard my friend Cleophas Malala. I'm told that there was a big problem. On the other side, he was being guided that the party that we have only belongs to a particular section of our country.
Was impeached.
So he's really suffering out there, but we are inviting him to come back home. Come back to the broad-based government where everybody is accommodated. We are not on on the agenda of tribalizing or setting one community or one region as if it's higher than the other. So, in my view, quite unfortunate. So, for the united opposition, this is a serious dent, but we are ready for them even as we go into the future. There is no hope for Gachagua, no hope whatsoever that he will ever vie for any political seat or serve Kenyans, because, of course, we chased him. And all Kenyans have actually. I want Kenyans to really know the kind of a leader, the kind of a tribalistic leader that he was able to demonstrate.
He can still play a key role.
He can still play a key role with that kind of a mindset of tribalizing our country and trying to, create sectarianism. So, in my view, you asked what is the future? Hopeless for Gachagua, hopeless for the united opposition. The broad-based government, you have a great chance to say welcome everyone else and all Kenyans to come together so can be able to work under the president, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, has been uniting Kenyans.
There's no hope for him.
No. The constitution. The constitution is a document. Mheshimiwa and Oscar, they are politicians. They just take a stand and they want to maintain that stand. I mean, politicians are something else. but you see, I'm here in my capacity as a lawyer, and I will tell you that the Constitution is a document that gives hopes to the hopeless. That is why we have the Constitution. It gives the person who feels offended so many avenues and opportunities of seeking legal redress. Remember, this is a process that began in October, I think, 2024, sorry. 2024.
Yes.
So from the National Assembly, the Senate, now we've gone to the court. The High Court has given us its determination in 350 pages. We will read it because we've not read it. There could be some things that the court might have skipped during the process of reading. So it's important that we get to read and understand in full flavor the contents of that 350 court decision. Then from that, we frame our legal issues at the Court of Appeal. Then at the Court of Appeal, will probably take approximately six months. By the end of this year, or the beginning of next year, we should be having a determination, one way or another, from the Court of Appeal.
I just have just a wild question.
Yes.
So you go to the Court of Appeal.
Yes.
Let's fast forward. You go to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal, decides and say, the High Court add in this and this and that, and so Rigathi Gachagua is reinstated. I'm just trying to imagine wildly speaking.
Don't over-imagine.
Don't
over-imagine.
Okay.
And I've told you that question about reinstatement is not here. Because he has said he does not want reinstatement.
Okay.
So if he does not want reinstatement, what he does, he just wants the court to set aside the finding by the Senate that he was impeached.
But Wakili, you must allow yourself to be Wakili and not the judge. You went there as a lawyer.
And
you must give yourself room that the judges are seated there.
Hold. Yes. So now what happens if that is set aside, that is starts impeached? That will give him that leeway to contest in 2027.
To do what?
No, I've said the situation even as it is does not preclude or bar him from participating in the 2027 elections. Listen,
Victor,
these are legal positions. These are not lawyers.
No.
So we can excuse them.
This is
now
not a
number
legal
two.
process.
Number two, Oscar, please. I have the mic. Number two, number one, I have said the situation as it is does not bar him from participating in an elective position or elections in this country. That is number one.
Why do you give him
number
time
two? Listen. Number two. I am the lawyer. I am the one who is speaking with a position of authority, at least from our law.
And this was what canvassing.
Number two. Even as we go to the Court of Appeal, the Court of Appeal will have its chance. The person with the final say, and I think I'm repeating myself, is the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is the one that is going to say, well, the advantage or the advantage that we're giving to you as someone who is, you are now termed as innocent until your guilt is proven.
What happens is, Victor, let me tell you. Before I came to this show,
sip your coffee.
Yes.
Before I came to this show, I had to do some reading to analyze. That's why I said Nixon, what happened, Nixon, the history of impeachment. There was somebody called Montesquieu who came up with
separation
of powers. And the separation of powers is very clear. Who does what, when, and how? Yes. What does the legislature do? What does the judiciary do? They interpret the Constitution. This headline This headline is written what? Read in red.
Impeachment upheld.
Impeachment upheld.
Correct.
So the lawyer can tell us what is the meaning of the word. Sorry about this one.
Impeachment upheld.
So the lawyer can tell us what is his understanding of this statement, impeachment upheld. For now, and what we do in politics, for example, when we discuss about what happens in infrastructure, for example, we discuss if elections are held today, who will be the president, for example. We are looking at, in case the impeachments, the elections are held today. For example, what we are dealing with today, what Wakil is talking about is these issues tomorrow at Appeals Court and Supreme Court. You discussed that, you invited me to come and discuss today. Today, impeachment upheld. While the impeachment is upheld, he cannot be in the ballot.
Yeah.
When the impeachment is upheld. What I've asked you again, in our country's history, do we have any time when the courts have overstepped and done anything against what Parliament has done in terms of impeachment? No impeachment. So long as the Senate is complete. When the impeachment is complete, and what has happened in South Africa and all these cases, if you look at the history of impeachment everywhere else in the UK, in the US, it's a cumbersome process, a political process, and it's never done so much on merit. As I told you, unpopularity of a member of a CS or a cabinet secretary can lead to an impeachment. That is it.
Thank you. I just want to buttress what Victor is saying. Oscar, is saying, but equally as well, what Wakili is trying to do here, he actually started by saying that the courts is meant to give hope. If you heard that very well, and given an opportunity, I can hire him also to be my lawyer if I have issues to be encouraged, because I think what they do is they like encouraging and helping you so they can take money.
He is my lawyer myself.
Oh yeah, so he can be helping me, and I'm actually going to take him also, very intelligent. But actually on this aspect of Gachagua's case, it is done and sealed. Gachagua is impeached. He cannot be able to vie for any seat in our country. And even if you want to go to whatever levels you're talking about, Gachagua right now stands impeached. And I want to agree with you. The separation of powers, where we have the courts doing their thing, Parliament doing also their thing, but you are not supposed to come and overstep. What the courts were just doing is just see if the process was done was done fairly well, and a decision had to be reached. That is why when they are trying now to hang on the 2 points, one of them being the one for, the Senate, that the process, continued, a decision had to be rendered. And a decision was rendered by the judges, having looked at all aspects of it. And therefore, I want to also agree that in all the, whether it is the county assemblies that have been able to do the impeachment processes, and those that have been done, and now this one that was done by the National Assembly, none indeed has the courts been able to nullify. So I want to also agree that whatever it will take, it is clear cut. You might want to just take the money from your client, but clearly Kenyans must know Gachagua is not going to be
also, Victor. Another thing also, Victor. When we were with him 2 years ago, there were 23 cases that were put in different courts in Kiambu, in wherever. There were almost 23 cases. All the courts had to say that you have to allow Parliament to finish its process. When your rights shall have been violated, you will come for an interpretation. They don't judge. Even whatever happened yesterday, the courts interpret the law. But the lawmakers make the law, but the courts interpret. So make sure that you let the proceedings and the impeachment process go ahead. They tried to put an injunction many times to stop the process of impeachment. But the courts didn't want to overstep. And the courts refused. We are not going to overstep. Let Parliament finish. When Parliament finishes, bring it to us.
So now,
the court saw there was violation.
Let's move on a little bit. So now what happens? Because we've heard how he spoke on Sunday. He said he was going to accept the court's verdict, whichever way it goes. So now, sorry, Wakili?
Victor, you need to be fair so that we can balance the scales of justice. I think Mheshimiwa and Oscar have had a chance of biting at this cherry. You also give me an opportunity, especially.
Fair hearing.
Thank you.
So he said, now let me go back to the question. what do you think is going to be the implication ahead of the 2027? Because this is now going to be politics. Let's just open it up.
Make sure you ask Wakili the political implication,
that
not
is
the
what I'm
legal
asking.
implication now.
That is what I'm asking.
The legal he has told us, but the political ramification.
It's now open field.
Oscar
it's
is
going
the
to be
politician.
turbocharged and all that.
Yes, these ones are the politicians. So if I fell in error when it comes to matters politics, I should be forgiven. But
Right.
when it comes to legal matters, at least I should be given the opportunity. Now, a case has been made by my two colleagues, and I think they have argued it quite persuasively, that when it comes to questions about separation of powers, every arm of government has the duty. It has an obligation of respecting decisions that have been made by one of the bodies. That is true. In fact, if you review the arguments that were made by senior counsel Professor Githu Muigai, they were extensively to demonstrate the Montesquieu school of thought, that we have a separation of powers. If we have the judiciary should be allowed to work independently, the legislature and the executive, so that if a decision was arrived at by our legislature, now being parliament encompassing the National Assembly and the Senate, then their decision should be respected. Professor Githu Muigai went to a great extent to demonstrate that whatever business happened in those courts, in those bodies, should not be interfered with by the court. And that is the argument that is being made by my colleagues here. But it is important that I highlight that even while we have not read the decision itself, but at least we have heard what the judges have read to us. And one thing is for sure, that the court established that indeed the question about separation of powers and independence of our arms of government does not necessarily mean independence from constitutional accountability.
Right.
And when we have constitutional accountability, the people or the body that has the final say as to whatever is right in law or wrong in the eyes of the law is the courts of law, our judiciary, especially the High Court and Article 165. It has the duty of determining questions whether anything that has been done in the name of the Constitution has been done as the law so requires.
Yes.
So the argument that the court did not have or cannot review what has happened at the Senate is not made properly.
Okay.
So in summary, what I'm trying to say, especially in that question, is this: that if there was any constitutional infraction, as we saw, then the courts had a duty, as they have done. They have discharged that duty by finding that there was a violation and awarding damages. And it's awarding damages. My Lord Justice Anthony Mrima said that words in itself are not sufficient. So that if words are not sufficient, then the award of a compensation will be desirable under circumstances where one's rights have been violated. As we saw, 50 million shillings was awarded. But over and above that, the question that there is, and I think the question that we are going to ask the Court of Appeal and probably even moving forward, is with that finding, was that finding now enough to establish that now, because there was a violation of the petitioner, the first petitioner's right to a fair trial, was that now sufficient now to render the final outcome of the impeachment process unconstitutional?
Okay.
So that is really what is up for discussion in the court.
When you go through a divorce case, for example, the person who is aggrieved in the divorce case can be awarded and compensated because of the injuries and damages that they did. But the court does not have the right to reverse that divorce. The divorce is done. Divorce is between these two people. The court doesn't have that right. So the court is saying that the impeachment process is not ours to decide. It is for the legislature to decide. Otherwise, the rights that were violated here, we can check.
I ask a question. So what are the political implications?
The political implication is very... Wakili Mheshimiwa answered a bit, but for me, the political implication is very simple. One, it gives the United Opposition a bit of leeway. At least because they had very many candidates. And they were in a struggle to decide who becomes the flag bearer. One of the flag bearers, the prospective flag bearers, is already down. So we remained with Matiang'i and Kalonzo and probably Eugene Wamalwa. Gachagua is out of the question. So it is good for them to make that decision now. Who else? Do we have Maraga or wherever? So it is easy for them now, because the problem of the opposition in the last 5 elections, when Raila and the rest have been, and Kalonzo, have always been two problems: the party primaries and choice of a flag bearer.
Yes.
It has always been a headache of the opposition. You know, the ruling party, which is Kenya Kwanza or coalition, already has a flag bearer and I think a running mate. But the United Opposition or whatever have not decided on a flag bearer and a running mate. Now, Gachagua's position, because Gachagua, if the impeachment upheld, that means he cannot be a speaker, he cannot be a CS, he cannot be nothing. He is impeached, cannot be a state officer for the next 10 years. So the thing is, he's completely off. He cannot, I don't know if he can be a party leader. But the thing is, because of this impeachment, now the politics of the day is that the central Kenya, where Gachagua controls, yes, he can use this one again because of this narrative, that they're going to appeal because this is injustice, to rally and have propaganda and misinformation, so that he radicalizes that part of the country. That there's been an injustice that has been done here. We are targeted. They will even go that those judges were paid and blah, blah, blah. And those courts are evil courts. And the people will be sympathy.
And you think that is going to be the house, the
on
tab
Sunday,
is going to be
he will go
right
there
now.
and say that, okay, this is a target against the community.
Yeah,
to spin the narrative.
Yes. Yeah, regarding Gachagua is about 61 years old now.
Yes.
The time he will have an opportunity probably is when he will be 71 years old. Probably he might have the chance to try again. Within this period, as rightly put, Kenyans now will, you know, those in opposition, there will be a scramble for the pie, where now the votes of Gachagua is going, the basket in which it will be taken into. Of course, I saw also one former Justice, Chief Justice Maraga yesterday, Justice David Maraga. I've been looking at him here.
Emeritus.
Emeritus, and it was extremely shameful what I saw when he was being dragged, a former Chief Justice being dragged, and the trouser was half down there, and we could see, you know, the contours and things that can make Kenyans really, you know, it can create a curse in our customary, you know, when the kind of misbehavior we were seeing, or the kind of things that we saw while being arrested, so and the kind of shame that he demonstrated. And in fact, I was even feeling, when you've been in this position, that you've been a Chief Justice, a very respectful position, you need to behave respectfully as well, but that is up to him. So part of the people, I don't think Kenyans would want to associate with such. So the game is getting better and hotter as we go along. As it were, I want to agree with also the political scientist who has really analyzed well and said, now there will be reduction on the number of aspirants and candidates. But also, there's going to be a serious shift in terms of the support base, because no Kenyan will want to associate with a losing team. Kenyans want to always see where is the agenda. So many people who are aligned to Gachagua, now their home, the doors were still very open where they came from. So now there's going to be a serious shift. Even in those places, various of those places, there is going to be a serious shift back to broad-based government. With this one, because the other team is hopeless. You know, they competed with William Ruto when William Ruto was the deputy president, and he was actually sidelined at that time. You remember? But now he's in government. He's running so many projects. So I'm going to tell you, with this, there is going to be an extremely serious shift towards the broad-based government.
To be honest, Victor, politics fears vacuum. But Gachagua has created a very big vacuum among his supporters, and there's no hope now.
Hopeless.
There's no hope. Secondly, whatever happens in this, whatever you said about Maraga, I discussed with you, Victor, when we were discussing here, whether Uhuru Kenyatta can come back and play politics. And I told you, there is a political thing that after retirement, you have spent your time. Somebody like Kalonzo Musyoka,
productive time.
I think not even productive time. What we should be able to discuss, even on the wage bill, your second term member, first term member. First term member, and whatever Wetangula was talking about the other day, that more than 70% of our members of parliament lose. And when they lose, for example, somebody loses after serving 2 terms, and he served as young as he is now, he gets into parliament, then he retires after 10 years. Then he enjoys retirement benefit for the next 70 years. Uhuru Kenyatta, Kalonzo Musyoka, Raila Odinga, now Ido Odinga, these guys are enjoying retirement packs. But they're still, even the Maraga is enjoying retirement packs from our resources. But he's there doing all this. I think somebody who was retired as a Chief Justice, Mutunga, Maraga, Uhuru Kenyatta, people who've retired, Wako, who was a good Attorney General, please take a rest.
Actually, we tell you that they
Please
have
retire.
Please retire.
No, Oscar. They have got right of association, right of,
But don't
Now when you
politics.
put
Look at the
down
shame. Look at the shame demonstrated by David Maraga yesterday. Extremely shameful. I told you, I would not see that video. I closed my eyes because we fear curses. We are Africans. You cannot see the nakedness of an old man of that stature.
Sorry, Wakili. I think. Sorry for today, bro.
Yes, right of reply. I mean, you see, you just brought me.
In 30 seconds, we are done.
I am living in a den of lions here. but I mean, what is important is, especially in highlighting what became of, the CJ Emeritus, David Kenani Maraga. I think that is quite unfortunate. The manner in which the arrest was being conducted. Our constitution. No, listen. we need a speaker here. So, if you interrogate very keenly the writings of our constitution, the constitution, particularly under Article 49, requires that when we are conducting an arrest, it should be done in a dignifying manner. Dignifying manner is to mean that, you see, you have some rights as an arrested person. If you've violated any law in this country, there are modes or modalities through which you're supposed to be arrested. And we have borrowed this from America. It's something called the Miranda rights. So Miranda versus Arizona, the court came up with the style in which one should be arrested.
Okay.
And you should not be arrested by that, what we call Tanganyika Jeki. Someone just holding your trouser.
But
it's so wrong.
The people who get arrested should be dignified also.
I must also clarify that I am among the lawyers that are representing the majority of the people who were arrested yesterday.
Yes.
And will be returning to the Langata police station on the 22nd.
Okay.
On the 22nd day of this month.
Okay.
Yesterday, Sankara and David Maraga and the others that were arrested were released on their own personal bond. They were just told, you go home, we'll come back. And that should tell you, number one, that there was no law that they appeared to have broken. Because if indeed there was a law that they had violated, they will be presented or arraigned before the court today. So we've just given them time to go and investigate the matter. So if there is an issue, then action can be taken against.
So after all this said and done, these are my final orders as the judge. My final orders.
No, there is just one thing. There is something that has been said about retirement. There is something that has been said about retirement. We are here to also guide the viewers. The retirement,
we are done.
If you are retired, it does not necessarily mean that you have now waived the enjoyment of all your other rights. In fact, I am in court. Sheria Mtani went to court, to Kiambu High Court, and will be returning the beginning of the month of July. On that question about the retirement benefits of His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, we just need to set the record straight. Not for Uhuru Kenyatta. We are not setting the record straight for Rigathi Gachagua. We are setting the record straight for the future of this country.
That people retire,
one day, Mheshimiwa is going to be the president of this country.
Okay.
And once he's retired, we will also want to hear his voice. Especially now that we do not have very robust representation in the parliament.
Sheria Mtani is overstepping.
No.
We just want to correct the future of this country.
We are done. These are the final ruling. This is my final ruling. Thank you so much. Mheshimiwa Bernard Kitur, asante sana for coming. People of Nandi Hills, he's doing a good job. Mspomona constituency, he's here.
But very importantly, he's a very good lawyer. I will want to hire him actually from tomorrow.
And very naughty.